Well, a very good afternoon to you, and thanks for clicking on to today's edition of VOGAN'S Views on Europe. And we have seen very heavy showers pushing across the country over the course of this afternoon. Temperatures dropping down from around 10 Celsius this morning amid a prefrontal warm surge. Basically, strong southwesterly winds blowing out of the southwest, and very heavy rain along a boundary, along and ahead of that cold front. As that cold front pushed through over the course of the overnight hours, we've seen the temperatures drop off pretty sharply by even mid-morning. Many places that were 10 or 11 Celsius, including Loch Carnock and Aviemore, both in the Highlands, we've seen temperatures down to 3 or 4 Celsius by mid-morning. This afternoon, temperatures continue to drop off. We have seen temperatures down as low as -1 in Glenogle this afternoon. So a sharp temperature drop off, and we actually seen a sharp temperature rise over the course of last night from about 5 o'clock, 5 or 6 Celsius at best. Then temperatures shot up over the course of the night, winds increased, heavy rain, and then of course the sudden drop off as that cold front swung through. Clear skies, as you can see here now across Lennoxtown, and I'll tell you what, folks, that wind is quite bracing out there. Very, very chilly wind for sure. And I think over the course of this evening we're going to be seeing those winds continuing. The problem is those showers are pushing through. Every time those showers are pushing through, not only are they pulling in that wee bit more of a colder air out of the west, northwest, you'll probably notice that as those showers push through, that air feels actually that wee bit colder. And as well as the showers pushing through, the intensity of the rain, sleet, snow that's getting propelled from the mid-levels, upper levels of the atmosphere down to the ground, it's there for transferring colder air down to the surface, and of course that is cooling that lower atmosphere every single time those showers pushing through. But you notice that, you'll see how cold that air is outside compared to what it was. I left the house at 12:30 this morning for my work, and the temperature was reading 10 Celsius. My truck temperature, the dashboard, was registering 11 Celsius for a good part of this morning. By the time I was driving back into Glasgow around, just after 9 o'clock, the temperature was reading 4 Celsius on the dashboard. So a pretty dramatic temperature decrease, certainly by our standards, and this is classic March weather. Up and down roller coaster temperatures, those heavy showers pushing through, thunder, hail, sleet and snow is all part of the March mix, so to speak. You can see here, this is the current map of the ECMWF. Very chilly air mass over eastern and northern parts of Europe. We've seen temperatures down to at least -16 in Moscow. So Russia, you guys are not seeing that winter ease off anytime soon. But certainly over the course of the next 24 hours, we're going to be seeing a very chilly night tonight, especially as the temperatures drop off to around 1 or 2 degrees. But those showers are going to continue to rattle in to western Scotland. The problem is, as those temperatures drop off, watch out for those snow showers tonight. Even across low levels, the central belt, through the southern uplands, and across obviously the highlands as well. Those showers, folks, may deposit a thin covering of snow over the course of the night. Even folks in Glasgow may see that snow start to accumulate as those temperatures drop off. But the ground very damp. Watch out as icy patches may form, and it's going to feel very cold indeed. That wind blowing, howling into the west-northwest, and of course the temperature around 1 or 2 degrees at the best, at the very most, means we're going to see wind chills down to between, I would say widely, between -3 and -6 tonight. So wrap up warm. It's going to be a cold March night for sure, and certainly a big difference compared to last night in terms of the temperature, because around amazingly, the night before last, the temperature was down to -2 here. And of course, during the overnight hours last night, it was up to 10 Celsius. So it's up and down, very, very fluid, dynamic weather pattern we're now evolving into. The atmosphere starting to warm up. It's trying to fight that. Sun is much stronger at this time of year as opposed to a month and a half ago. And of course, the winter wants to fight on. You can see it here in the map here. Very chilly air mass. flowing across the North Atlantic off the north of Canada and Greenland. Notice that how those strong northwesterly winds in the upper levels are blowing across the Atlantic. Of course, we've got a tongue of warmth trying to push its way into the UK, and of course, winter still dominates all the way across Scandinavia, down through Russia, into eastern and central Poland, but the milder, unsettled conditions across the Mediterranean, central western Mediterranean, heavy showers, wind, rain, cooler temperatures, thanks to that area of low pressure, and it's a very, very wild pattern across many parts of the UK and Europe. Let's skip ahead to Thursday here. You notice here, the upper levels, strong northwest wind, that trough digging in. Notice the cold air over Central and Eastern Europe. Russia, you guys are going to continue to freeze by Friday. The ridge is trying to build its way back into the UK again, and it will do so. This cold air, it ain't going to last. It's going to be kicked out by high pressure. And folks, over the weekend, as the high starts to build in, you notice here flattening out slightly on Saturday. By Sunday, that ridge is starting to push northwards. As we progress into next week, folks, it looks pretty strong that we're going to see another very mild spell develop over the UK. This is by Tuesday. Look at the strong heights all the way up into the northern half of the Atlantic, northeast corner of the Atlantic, mild across Iceland, much of Norway and Sweden, into the milder air. And notice how high up and how the north extent of this ridge is. Also notice as well that we're seeing moderation in temperature across parts of Europe as well. This is by Tuesday into Wednesday, and you notice here the ridge is pushing its way into the Scandinavia, kicking out winter cold and snow. Could we be seeing the advance of a moderation in this winter across many parts of Scandinavia, Central Europe? Still a bit early to say yet, but certainly we are seeing a very up and down pattern. This is by Friday. Notice how the cold air is starting to eradicate across Germany and into Poland, into southern Scandinavia. Could we see 10 or 11 Celsius in both Oslo and Stockholm? That's a high possibility. The cold trying to work its way into the eastern parts of Europe. And by Saturday, you notice here the cold air continuing to linger. Another trough back into the UK again. So this is by a week tomorrow. Could we be seeing yet another surge of chilly weather? But remaining much more settled as we progress towards the weekend, and certainly into next week, folks, we could be looking at much more settled and above normal conditions once again across the UK and Ireland. So if you like winter, enjoy the next 24 hours, folks. It could be interesting across Scotland tonight. If we get those showers piling in on that cold west to northwest wind, we may see a thin covering even across the parts of Glasgow, through the central belt, and certainly up over higher ground, we could see an inch or two of snow. So continue to keep checking back to my blog. Also check out firsthandweather.com. My folks, my fellow forecasters, will continue to keep you up to date on the US weather as well as across Europe by myself. And as well as that, follow me on Facebook and Twitter. If you haven't already sent in your winter pictures, I encourage you to do that. Check out the Facebook page, click on the upload link on the photo section. Get your best winter photographs up there if you haven't done so. And the special video will be released at the end of March. And it's basically a thank you for your support over the past few years. Hope you have a great evening, folks, and wrap up warm out there. Bye for now.